got next. Yeah, I got next. Let's go. We ballin'.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the I Got Next podcast. I am your host, Darnell. And if you're new here, we talk all things NBA basketball. And with the NBA playoffs coming up this weekend, I'm recording this as of Friday. We got playing games today. And then from now until June, it is all basketball all day. So please lock in, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. Now, like I said, I'm shooting this as of Friday. So the Magic and Hornets are going to play later on tonight. And then you got the Warriors and the Suns playing after that. I'm not going to know the result of that. I'm just going to go into it with what I think is going to be the result. So I'll go ahead and go over the 1-8 matchups, but I'm really going to focus more on the matchups that we already know for sure are going to happen this weekend. And at the end of it, I want you to leave a comment. Let me know how I did on my picks. If you disagree, if you agree, please go ahead and let me know. But let's go ahead and start with the Spurs and the Blazers. So the Blazers won their playing game. I believe it was on Wednesday or Tuesday. I'm not really sure. I'm losing my days right now. But the Blazers are going to end up playing the Spurs. And I'm just going to give you guys my quick hits on this series. A lot of people are going to say this series is probably going to go 5. It could go 6, honestly, if you're looking at these two teams. The Spurs with Wemby and the Blazers with Denny Avdia. Very good matchup between the two, but I think a lot of people are going to sleep on the Blazers and what they can do. And again, remembering that this is the Spurs' first playoff appearance as a group, so they have never been in this situation before. Whereas the Blazers, they also don't have that much experience, but somebody like Jrue Holiday, who has championship experience, Tiago Splitter, their coach, who also has championship experience, could lean into that, and that could carry over to the rest of the Blazers team to make this series a little bit more interesting or more complicated for the Spurs at the end of the day. But quickly in this series, what I'm looking to see how the Blazers guard Steph Castle. Again, first playoff series, Dylan Harper, obviously. Are they going to deploy guys like Toumani Camara, Jrue Holiday? They just had a lot of length and size that they can attack those wings with the Spurs. And could they disrupt that ball handling? The other thing that I'm worried about is, especially for Steph Castle, is the shooting. I don't know how to trust it. I know he's been shooting the 3-ball a little bit better lately, but in a playoff series where Tiago Splitter and the Blazers can kind of keen in on that kind of thing and him being on the floor, is that going to affect him? Is that going to affect his confidence? I don't necessarily think that it will, but it's possible, again, being their first playoff series. But obviously, the big elephant in the room, or unicorn, or whatever the hell you want to call Wemby, alien, that's going to be the key. Donovan Clingan, Jrue Holiday, Toumani Camara, like the whole team effort to stop Wemby. And if the Blazers can figure that out, they might be able to pull off some type of upset. But at the end of the day, it's Wemby. Even though it is his first playoff series, there's no defending that. If they use Donovan Clingan on him, I can't see how that's going to work out for the Blazers. Maybe they use Jeremy Grant to just bother him with a little bit more size and strength. They could deploy Jrue Holiday, even though he's extremely small. Could you take out Wemby's legs? We saw later on as this season was winding down, Wemby was having a hard time keeping his wind. So is there something that the Blazers can attack to just wear him down a little bit? He didn't play crazy minutes during the season because the Spurs were trying to preserve him. Something to look out for. At the end of the day, I don't see this series going too long, but I think it could be a little bit more interesting than most. So I'm going to say Spurs in 6. All right, so now switching over to the Eastern Conference with their 2-7 matchup, you got the Celtics versus the Sixers. Sixers won a horrifically to watch game against the Magic, but they still pulled off a win. Did they buy Joel Embiid some time to come back from his appendectomy surgery? I truly just don't know. Betting on the Sixers and their health is a fool's gamble. I've never seen anybody really win from betting on the Sixers' health. I think the Sixers can be pesky. Tyrese Maxey is amazing as a Knicks fan. I watched Tyrese Maxey in a series. I know he can hoop, and I know how good he is. And he can preserve a series a little bit longer, maybe buying Embiid some time. Maybe Tyrese Maxey can win you a game. I just can't put my faith in it that they'll be able to hold up long enough against the Boston Celtics. Everybody's pretty much picking the Celtics to make it to the finals. I can't see how, unless Embiid can come back, and because he would have to ramp up, how much of him would you even get? Now, the Sixers do have some decent wings you could throw at Tatum, you could throw at Brown and Oubre and Paul George, who played great defensively, I thought, against the Magic. But again, it's the Magic. It's completely different than playing Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And then I'm worried about VJ Edgecombe a little bit as well. Just he was kind of out of control during the Magic game, and he's kind of really trailed off since the beginning of the season when he started off so hot. If he has a good game or two, could that provide some type of spark for the Sixers? Possible. I just think, honestly, the Celtics have too much offense for the Sixers' bad defense to guard against. And again, for the millionth time, if they don't have Joel Embiid inside the paint, the Celtics, who don't have a whole lot of size, even though I love Keita and I'm not a huge fan of Vucevic, but you still have some size there. If they have to contend with Joel Embiid, I could see that being a problem. But again, it just comes down to if Embiid's playing. And if not, I like Tyrese Maxey enough. I'm going to say Celtics in 5 and hope that the Sixers can make it interesting. All right, now going back over to the West, now you got the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves in probably the most exciting series in either conference. Jokic versus Ant, I mean, you really get no better than that. They play the earlier game, at least for me on the East Coast. They play the earlier game at 3:30 on Saturday. Perfect time for me to be able to lock in and watch them. So I'm really excited to watch this series. And honestly, just for the rivalry that's enough to give this game some hype. I have not felt great about the Timberwolves for a little while now, so this is where I'm like not sure on how they're going to come out and play. They can kind of be all over the place. One day they can blow out a really good team. The next day they can get beat by a really bad team. I really can't figure out what the Timberwolves are at this point. These two teams have seen each other enough, even though this Nuggets team is a little bit different than they've been in the past. But because of Ant and the knee, Jaden McDaniels and the hamstring, Julius Randle hasn't really been that great lately. This is bringing up concerns that I just don't think this Wolves team can overcome. And the Nuggets, despite having one of the worst defenses out of all the playoff teams, I think they're 21st, they're terrible defensively. This is where they can lock in. This is where Aaron Gordon can show what he can still do. And then you still got guys like Christian Brown and Peyton Watson who can make a series ugly for another team. Could the Wolves still take advantage of some bad defense from the Nuggets, especially when those guys are sitting down? Sure. But to me, the series really just comes down to, is Ant healthy enough to help the Wolves along and get through the series? And can the defense of the Nuggets hold up enough to stop Ant and Jaden McDaniels and guys like that? I would assume a huge role in this series if he can also help out on the offensive side for the Timberwolves. It can kind of go either way for me on this one. I'm gonna lean to the Nuggets. They're my finals pick, so I'm gonna lean to the Nuggets. I'm gonna say Nuggets in 6. This is an easy, you can say this can be a 7-game series, but I'm gonna say Nuggets in 6 for now, but you let me know what you think. Now the next series that I have very vested interest in is the Knicks versus the Hawks. Now, the Hawks, you got to give them respect. This is not a team you just take lightly, as the Knicks probably would have done against the Raptors. The Hawks are extremely good. And the thing that I think, a couple things in my mind go in about this series. The way the Hawks play fast, the Knicks have never done well against young athletic teams. You saw that last year against the Pacers. They don't do well with transition, like quick up and down teams. They don't do well with that. The Knicks' main goal is going to have to be playing the half court. Because the one glaring issue that the Hawks have, that the Knicks have a direct answer for, is that the Hawks are very small. Jock Landale looks like he's going to be out for the next couple weeks, so that bodes well for the Knicks. The Hawks don't really have a secondary big to go to. Okongwu is great. I love Okongwu, but we're talking about 6'8", 6'9". They don't really have anybody over 6'10" to deal with Karl-Anthony Towns and to deal with Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench. Cat averaged like 29 points, 14 rebounds against the Hawks this season. They're dominating. And then Mitchell Robinson, same thing. And we know what he can do in the playoffs when it comes to offensive rebounding and closing out defensive possessions with rebounds. So that's going to be a huge thing for the Hawks to try to focus on to slow the Knicks down, or to speed the Knicks up, I should say, to just nullify all that rebounding, is to get the Knicks up and down the court. The other thing the Hawks have to their advantage is that they have a lot of wings to throw at Jalen Brunson. They have Dyson Daniels. You can CJ McCollum can guard him a little bit here and there. Nah can guard him, so they can wear out Jalen Brunson, which is what the plan is for every team when they play Jalen Brunson. So the Knicks are going to rely on all their secondary guards to bring the ball up to try to give Jalen Brunson a break off ball. And the Knicks did that a lot this season. A lot of things that they worked through during the season to make sure that Jalen Brunson knew what to do when he was off ball. We're talking about, pin downs off the corners and things like that, just to give him a second before having to bring the ball up and get pressured all the time. The biggest difference in this series to me, honestly, is the Hawks don't have a go-to guy, a for sure go-to guy. I know Jalen Johnson is their best player, and Nah is probably their second best player, and then you got CJ McCollum, but they don't know who to go to in the clutch. And the biggest thing that the Knicks have is Jalen Brunson. He's a former Clips Player of the Year last year. And those are the things that he does in the fourth quarter. You can see evident of the last game that they played where the Hawks did not know who to go to. They went to Jalen Johnson at one point. They went to CJ at one point. The Knicks gave it to Jalen Brunson and said, take me there. And that's the big difference between these two teams. They don't have a guy to take them there. Now, Jalen Johnson, this is probably, I believe, his first real playoff experience. He was on the team at one point with the Hawks when they went into the playoffs, but really didn't play much. He's the guy now. So we're going to find out. Is he a playoff riser? Does he get worse in the playoffs? We'll see. He doesn't have fantastic numbers against the Knicks, but obviously all that stuff goes out the window when the playoffs start. And then another factor for the Hawks has to be the bench. I don't trust this bench as much. I am not a huge Jonathan Kuminga guy. I know he can have some moments, but he can also have some bad moments as well. So that doesn't bode well for the Hawks, who have one of the best starting fives between CJ and Nah and Dyson Daniels and Okongwu and Jalen Johnson, like one of the best starting fives since the Trae Young trade back in January, up there with the Hornets and teams like that. So they're really good, but it's 6, 7, 8. Like, are you going to get enough from Gabe Vincent? Are you going to get enough from Mo Gay? Those are the guys that I'm like, do you have more than what the Knicks are going to be able to throw at you? All that, you guys know probably where I'm going. I'm going Knicks in 6. I think no Knicks series in my lifetime has been easy. And so in my mind, I see the Hawks as a really, really good team, a great team, and the Knicks are just a little bit better. And maybe the Knicks should win in 5. I'm sure it will not happen that way because it's the Knicks. So I'm going to say Knicks in 6. All right, going back over to the West for the 4-5 matchup, Lakers-Rockets. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because the Lakers just don't have Luka. They don't have Reeves. I think Amen Thompson is going to make LeBron's life hell. I just saw a report not too long before I started recording saying LeBron is taking serious consideration to retiring this year. Amen Thompson might be the reason when he's guarding him. Could LeBron win you 2 games? Sure, absolutely he can. This roster, to me, has never really been, it's been way better than it plays on paper. And when you got guys like Luka and Austin Reeves running the helm as well. So if one of those guys can come back, could they make the series interesting? Sure. I know the Rockets are terrible when Kevin Durant sits down. They're terrible in the clutch. Hell, if the Lakers can just keep most of these games close, they might win the series. But ultimately, I just can't see it, honestly. I just don't think they have enough. And I think the defense is going to be too much for the Lakers to deal with. I'm going to say Rockets in 6. It's not fun. To me, this is probably one of the worst series. Hey, LeBron versus KD, so I'm going to watch it. But I don't think this is going to be as much fun when one team is losing 2 of their best players. Now, going back over to the Eastern Conference, now you got the Cavs and the Raptors. Now, kind of similar to the Knicks and the Hawks, the Raptors are a very up-and-down team. Not a lot of great shooting at all. Emmanuel quickly, so I wanted to bring up dealing with plantar fasciitis. It's just, this is a reason why as a Knicks fan, I really wanted to play the Raptors because I just don't see it. I like all the players that they have. I really, really do. I like Scotty Barnes and the defense and the versatility. It's the scoring that this team just can't do, especially in the half court. If the Cavs put this team in the half court, this series is over very quickly. I will say this is going to be a very big Brandon Ingram series. Obviously, he's their best player, but the Cavs don't have a huge wing to kind of deal with somebody of his size. You could put Evan Mobley on him. That would pretty much shut him down to me at that point. But and also the Raptors don't have a whole lot of size. Jakob Poeltl, forget about it. This is a series where, well, yes, I know the Cavs bigs are not necessarily the toughest out there, and you're going to want to be physical with them. When you got guys like Jakob Poeltl, Jared Allen should be fine. I don't think that's really going to be too much of an issue for him. Maybe the Cavs have to worry about Mamu coming off the bench. I love Mamu. Mamu could win you a game if you're the Raptors. That Raptors team is just, there's so many flaws with them from an offensive perspective that I don't see how they score enough points to even deal with the Cavaliers. I'm going Cavs in 5. This is it's a 1:00 game on Saturday, so clearly the NBA knows this is going to be the worst series of all to watch. Cavs in 5, it'll be a quick 1-2 and then done. Now, the last 2 series, obviously, again, shooting this as a Friday, I don't know what those series are going to be. If it's Thunder versus Suns, if it's Thunder versus Warriors. Thunder Warriors probably sounds a little bit more fun. We get to see Steph Curry for like another week or so, week and a half. Sure, whatever. Suns, Thunder, I don't think that's fun at all. I think the Thunder bludgeoned them recently by 50 or at one point during the season. Neither series is going to be fun. It's the reason why I didn't want to spend too much time on it. Thunder in 4, no matter what. I'll say Thunder in 4 if it's the Suns. I'll say Thunder in 5 if it's the Warriors. Maybe Steph can go off for 70. I don't know. But not a fun series at all. And then lastly, the game that I'm really focused on tonight, it's got to be Hornets versus Magic. America's team versus the Orlando Magic. Pistons Hornets is what everybody wants. I have a sneaky fear that Pistons Hornets is not going to be what we get, but I'm going to hold out hope. The Magic are not a good basketball team to me at all. Maybe I'll make a video about that too because I have a lot of thoughts on that team. But if the Hornets can win that game and play the Pistons, listen, I think the Pistons are just better, flat out better. Obviously, they're the 1 seed, but a lot of people want to see this matchup because of the fight earlier in the season. While I think that could be a factor, and while I feel like the series would be fun to watch, physicality and the trash talking and all that, the Pistons, I think, are just too damn good to get beat by the Hornets and even be scared of them. Maybe there's a LaMelo trip. I don't know. That hurts somebody. Hopefully not. But right now, to me, as much as people love that series and are going to love it on paper, I'm going to say Pistons in... If they play the Hornets, I'm going to say Pistons in 5. I really don't think the Hornets... Concanipo has not shot the ball well at all. I don't know how the Hornets are going to be able to pull this off. So I'm gonna say Pistons in 5. That's the most sense to me. If it's unfortunately Pistons and Magic, then Pistons in 4, so we can just get the Magic up out of here and forget about them and send them off into the offseason. All right, so that's it, man. Thank you so much. If you watched this far, I appreciate it. We thank you. Myself, my co-host Mancow, who obviously is not in here with me. We normally shoot a weekly podcast. It's been weird with scheduling and all that other stuff. Again, we got games starting, so I just wanted to put this video out there for the world, for you to see. We are new, obviously small. If you enjoyed this, please go ahead and hit the like button, share, and subscribe to the channel. It's really bad for me to try to get through this. I hate asking people for stuff, but it's just fun. It's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. We got 8 basketball games, high-level ball. That's what we all want. And we got WrestleMania. We got my CM Punk shirt on right now. So WrestleMania is going to be dope. My eyes are going to be bloodshot right by the end of the weekend. It's just going to be a good time. So lock in, tap into the NBA, man. Let's fucking go.